He's already on the recruiting trail. This earlier today from the recruiting director of 24/7 Sports. Like all they do is like follow all of this.
Yeah.
And Steve,
almost 24/7.
20 exactly. It's like 7-Eleven, but even more
How
hours.
long is that? How long
do you know
is
why
that?
they called it 7-Eleven? Because it was open from 7 to 11, and that was like revolutionary at the time.
What?
It was open like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Nobody was doing that back in the day.
So okay.
Anyway, Steve Wiltfong, who's the director of recruiting at 24/7, writes this. San Diego State's Sean Lewis offered Indianapolis's Cathedral quarterback Danny O'Neal a scholarship last night. Now, this was the decommit from Colorado we talked about earlier this week.
3-star recruit.
Let me read this real quick and you comment. O'Neal has been one of the Midwest's top signal callers the last 3 years. In his time as a starter at Indianapolis Cathedral, he won a state championship, threw for 7,700 yards, 98 touchdowns, completed 62% of his passes, also rushed for 1,300 yards and 27 touchdowns. Where do we sign up?
Is that good?
Sounds pretty good.
We know the connection between him and Sean Lewis. We've heard, because we talked about it yesterday, the quotes from Danny O'Neal talking about one of the main reasons why he committed to Colorado was because of Sean Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day before Sean Lewis gets announced as the new head coach here at San Diego State, Danny O'Neal decommits his verbal commitment from Colorado.
Right.
And the first thing everyone does is you put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
And after talking with Sean Lewis yesterday, the importance of a quarterback for him is everything. I would guess that the number one thing that he is doing as of right now, which started last night apparently, I need a quarterback. Like, I need to get a quarterback in here. I need to get my quarterback in here because I want to start fast. Like, his whole mindset is fast, right? In his Twitter bio, it says, like, life's too short to huddle, which is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That is awesome.
And so we all know that it will take time for sure. We've seen the amount of Aztec players entering the transfer portal. They currently, the quarterbacks on their roster, I mean, you have a redshirt freshman, and I think he played a couple snaps this year. But other than that, you need to get a quarterback. So for him, I would bet you that's the number one thing he's doing right now.
Did you see the one thing that I found fascinating? I didn't realize this yesterday. Darnay tweeted about it. Thank you, Darnay, for producing the show.
Oh, thanks.
He said that when Sean Lewis got to Eastern Illinois, everyone told him in 2013, there's no quarterback in this roster. You need to go out and get a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo was on the roster. So my point is, you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. And you got scholarship quarterbacks on the roster that I'm sure will get consideration. And again, can they run the system he wants to run?
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. So there's Danny O'Neal, and then there's College Football Network that's tweeting out about Temple quarterback and the son of Kurt Warner, EJ Warner.
Yeah.
And the tweet says this: Syracuse ? Iowa ? San Diego State ? This wasn't happening previously. You weren't seeing transfer portal quarterbacks necessarily getting tied to San Diego State. And I'm not saying that this is someone even on Sean Lewis's radar, but it's being written about in publications that cover the sport. And again, Sean Lewis is known as an offensive innovator that's had a ton of success with his quarterbacks. So I think you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks potentially linked to San Diego State in the days ahead.
And over time, I would expect and I would hope that the time that he spends on recruiting for quarterbacks starts here in San Diego, because there is a plethora of good, very good high school quarterbacks in San Diego that are getting
There's great
scholarships from like Alabama and, SEC schools. And we've seen how many Heisman Trophy winners have been here in San Diego?
At least a few.
So at first you kind of need to go to your guys. Like, okay, I have a relationship with Danny O'Neal, right? I need to get someone here. I need to get my guys in here. I need to get people that know me. I need to get people that I have a relationship with, that I've potentially recruited already, talked to, get them in here. And then over time, because he signed a 5-year deal, you start hopefully seeing him recruiting quarterbacks from San Diego to come to San Diego State. Because if they do well next year as far as the offense goes, I'm not going to put any expectations on what I want to see wins and losses wise, because I think you got to give a guy a year, right? Because a lot of people, the transfer portal, everything, got to give a guy a year. And then hopefully the offense improves. And then you can start recruiting and say, look what I did my first year here, offensive wise. Come here and we can be better.
And I would say this about the portal, to your point, and you're seeing Aztecs from 2023 putting their name in the portal. If you follow this sport, this is completely normal in today's day and age. Completely normal. You're seeing a lot of offensive linemen have gone in the portal, and others. Talented players maybe we've seen before, others that we haven't, starters. But this is completely common. And when you have a coaching change, it should be expected. So I don't think there should be any panic with players going into the portal. Obviously, Sean Lewis is going to put his stamp on the program. You're going to have a lot of student athletes back. I promise you that. You may have some players enter the portal and potentially return. Mm-hmm. You're also coming off a 4-8 season. So the fact that there's Aztecs with the season having ended now 3 or 4 or 5 days ago or whatever it is going into the portal, that comes as literally no surprise at all to me.
Yeah. But wouldn't you bet that one of the first moves we see as far as the transfer portal goes or recruiting is a quarterback?
I don't know if maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know the timing on it. But you're saying maybe that's one of the first things you see is, hey, they got this quarterback via the portal or prep route. Here's a high school commit, Danny O'Neal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's possible to make that splash. Yeah. And to kind of not start a class, but to get that recognition. Also, we're going to learn more on this coaching staff.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, who will any of these coaches be retained?
Mm-hmm. We'll see how he builds a roster, and we see what he views as like, you know, the important, like how much importance does he put on the offensive and defensive lines? You know, I think
he said yesterday to us. I mean, it all starts up front.
Yeah, like quarterback, offense, and defensive lines. Like you recruit heavily in those three areas. Everything else falls into place, hopefully.